Good afternoon and welcome to this council meeting for the municipality of Dutton Dunwich. It is March 12th, 2025. It's 5 p.m. and I'll call this meeting to order. Clerk Tara, please.
Moved by Loveland, seconded by Pemberton, that the meeting of the council of the municipality of Dutton Dunwich opens at 5 p.m. All in favor? And that's carried.
First thing I'd like to do is introduce our new interim CAO, Don McLeod, who just joined us about a week ago and is here until for sure the end of June, perhaps longer. If you wanted to say a few things, Don. Sure.
Well, I'd like to thank the council for giving me the opportunity to work with you for the next 4 months. I'm looking forward to meeting you and working with the staff, and hopefully we can get the ship righted and continue on.
Okay, thank you, Don. The land acknowledgement, Councillor Pemberton, please.
We will begin by acknowledging that the land on which we gather is the traditional territory of First Nations people who have long-standing relationships to the land, water, and region of southwestern Ontario. We also acknowledge the local Lower Thames River watershed communities, which include Chippewa of the Thames First Nation, Oneida Nation of the Thames, Munsee Delaware Nation, and Delaware Nation of Moraviantown. We value the significant historical and contemporary contributions of local and regional First Nations and all of the original peoples of Turtle Island, North America. We are thankful for the opportunity to live, learn, and share with mutual respect and appreciation.
Thank you. Does council have any declaration of pecuniary interest? I see none. And item 4, the adoption of the draft minutes. They were presented to council in the agenda package. Are there any errors or omissions? I see none. The minutes will be adopted as presented to council. Clerk Tara, are there any items not listed on the agenda?
There are none.
Okay. Item 6 is our planning department, and I believe Planner Tracy is with us. I think. No.
Looks like she's not on there.
Can we circle around to it? With council's consent, I'd like to adjust the agenda and come back to the planning when she's available. Okay, let's move on. Under correspondence. First item is the Regional Municipality of Durham. It's a motion regarding protecting Canadian values, ban the Nazi swastika in Canada. Does council wish to comment on that? I see none. Resolution, please. Clerk Tara.
Moved by Droulard, seconded by Dryfout, that the council of the municipality of Dutton Dunwich supports the resolution from the region of Durham calling on the government of Canada to pass legislation banning, with exceptions for certain educational and artistic purposes, the public display of Nazi symbols and iconography, including the Nazi swastika, and that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to Rob Flack, MPP, Karen Vecchio, MP, and the region of Durham. All in favor? And that's carried.
Item B is the Elgin Area Primary Water System, the 2024 annual report. Deputy Mayor Loveland, any comments on that?
Not really. I'm not on that board, so I guess I don't have any comments at all, and that looks fine to me.
Any from council wish to address that one? I'm sure we all read it word for word. Clerk Tara, please.
Moved by Dryfout, seconded by Loveland, that the council of the municipality of Dutton Dunwich receives under section 11 of OREG 17003 of the 2024 annual report from the Elgin Area Primary Water Supply System. All in favor? And that's carried.
Okay, the Township of Zora, a road safety program. Anyone wish to speak to that? Fair resolution, please.
Moved by Loveland, seconded by Pemberton, that the council of the municipality of Dutton Dunwich supports the resolution from the township of Zorra calling on the provincial and federal governments to do everything in their power to limit speeding, distracted driving, and impaired driving, and thereby reduce collisions, injuries, and fatalities in our communities. And that council supports the request for the government of Ontario to take action to implement the Rural Road Safety Program that Good Roads has committed to lead, and that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to Rob Flack, MPP, Karen Vecchio, MP, and the Township of Zorra. All in favor? And that's carried.
Thank you. Ontario Clean Water Agency, the Dutton Dunwich Distribution System 2024 Annual Report. It was before council in your agenda package. Any questions or concerns? Deputy Mayor Loveland.
Really no questions with that report, but I guess my question really is, Aqua's been running our system now since the 1st of September. And I assume they'll be coming very shortly with a report. I thought they were supposed to be quarterly. I understand it takes a while sometimes to get them in line when we started away from the quarter, but I just want to make sure that happens soon.
Yes, go ahead.
Uh,
Don.
We did have a meeting today with the Aqua staff and they presented the report to us. So I wasn't aware it was to go to council, but we can send a copy of that. So the highlights of the meeting there really is nothing that's been happening that's given them any cause for concern. Staff have been happy with the operations so far and the relationship. So the only thing we're going to work on is building protocols when and if there are BWAs and if there's any incidents that happen like last week. So we're going to work with Aqua to prepare something that we can use as well.
Do you wish to see it, Deputy Mayor Loveland, or?
I don't know. It's got to come to council anyways, the annual report, doesn't it?
I think it was just a quarterly operational report. So
Okay. Yeah.
If council wants to see it for information, sure, we can send it.
I'm comfortable if we can see it, and Aqua, my experience is they usually attend council meeting and present it, but because ultimately we are the ones responsible for that operation. If there's something goes south there, we're on the hook for it as well as staff. So
Okay, we'll leave it to staff to reach out to Aqua whether they want to attend or present the report. Okay, Don, while we're on water, we did have an issue that has cleared up. I don't know whether council was aware of the final outcome of the sample.
So we were in contact with Aqua all last week. They carried out 3 sets of tests, and the upshot was testing was carried out from a tap that wasn't fully cleaned properly. There was water tested upstream and downstream from the tower, so we knew that there wasn't anything in the distribution system. So that's why a BWA was not put on. The Board of Health was somewhat happy with that. Aqua's since done some cleaning. The 3rd test was taken from a different point at the tower, and that's why that test came back clean. So they will be making some changes on the way they do their testing, but short of that, the notification system worked well. We were satisfied that everything was done appropriately and the tests were back, and especially when it came to upstream and downstream being fine, that was our key worry about the whole incident.
Thank you, Don. Okay, let's finish up the correspondence. It won't take long here because Tracy is back online. The Tri-County Water Board, the 2024 annual report. We didn't do the resolution here. Okay, Clerk Tara, please.
Moved by Pemberton, seconded by Drulard, that the council of the municipality of Dutton Dunwich receives under section 11 of OREG 17003, the 2024 annual report for the Dutton Dunwich distribution system from the Ontario Clean Water Agency. All in favor? And that's carried.
Okay, the Tri-County Water Board 2024 annual report. Any discussion on that one? Resolution, please, Clerk Tara.
Moved by Drulard, seconded by Dreyfus, that the Council of the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich receives under Section 11 of OREG 17003 the 2024 Annual Report for the Tri-County Water Board. All in favor? And that's carried.
Okay, we have the City of Sarnia, a carbon tax. Anyone wish to address that issue? See nothing, Clerk Tara, please.
Moved by Dreyfus, seconded by Loveland, that the Council of the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich supports the resolution from the City of Sarnia, given the advent of the U.S. tariffs and economic impact on Canadians petitioning the federal government to put a stop to the 20% increase to the carbon tax scheduled to be implemented April 1st, 2025, and that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to Rob Flack, MPP, Karen Vecchio, MP, and the City of Sarnia. All in favor? And that's carried.
And finally, the Town of LaSalle, tariffs on Canadian production. Anyone wish to speak to that? Bit of correspondence. See none, Clerk Tara, please.
Moved by Loveland, seconded by Pemberton, that the Council of the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich supports the resolution from the Town of LaSalle, calling upon the provincial and federal governments to eliminate interprovincial trade barriers to ensure that Canadian items purchased and produced in Canadian municipalities are no longer subject to these interprovincial trade barriers, and that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to Rob Flack, MPP, Karen Vecchio, MP, and the Town of LaSalle. All in favor? And that's carried.
Finish up.
Moved by Pemberton, seconded by Drulard, that relevant correspondence was reviewed. All in favor? And that's carried.
Okay, thank you. Planner Tracy is online, so we're gonna go back to item 6, the Planning Department. And it's the proposed interim control bylaw as a moratorium to pause development. Tracy, if you're with us.
Yes, thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, to members of council. The recommendation before you this evening is to reconsider and approve a interim control bylaw for 1 year that will temporarily prohibit all development, including planning applications and building permits within the settlement area of Dutton in order to address municipal servicing capacity at the wastewater treatment plant for any development that requires capacity. So I'd like to highlight my report for you. So if you recall, in 2024, Council did direct administration to proceed with this bylaw as a moratorium to pause development. Council was presented with a draft bylaw. In addition, a servicing allocation policy was also considered. At that time, it was Council's decision not to proceed with an interim control bylaw and deal with things as they were submitted. Staff were also directed by Council to bring all proposed development applications that are considered high capacity users to your attention, and we were dealing with those on a case-by-case basis. For example, residential severances that created new multiple residential lots, or site plan control, which created an increase in wastewater treatment plant like a retirement home. And as you are aware, Dylan is assessing options for council in order to be able to improve capacity, and you are seeking funding. But at the regular meeting of February 12th, Dylan did present an updated information regarding flow rate study, and it does still appear that there is some capacity issues to be able to accommodate development. So administration is putting this before council for your consideration one more time, just to see if you would like to use this. This is a tool out of the toolbox in the Planning Act that will allow you to help manage things. What it does is it increases the message at the counter. When someone does come forward with an application as part of pre-consultation, we can let them know that there's sort of a hard no, that they have to wait. And that does help during pre-consultation, letting the applicant know that there are some wait times available are required in order for applications to proceed. So before you is the original interim control bylaw, but it has been beefed up a little bit. So as it was before, no planning applications would be deemed complete or processed that are in the Dutton Dunwich's control. So it doesn't impact the County of Elgin's application process, but we are commenting agency. So we'd be able to provide comments or be able to put in conditions for severances. What's new to this one is that I've propose that the interim control bylaw restrict building permits that have not yet been issued that require capacity. So we've added some wording in there that if you don't need wastewater treatment capacity, then you would not need any restrictions. You'd be able to still get your building permit. Or if a building permit was already in the process and it was issued, and perhaps maybe the occupancy permit was outstanding, it would not apply to those building permits. It would only apply to any new applications for building permits that would construct in accordance to the Ontario Building Code. So there are a couple points I want to remind council is that it is only for 1 year. Council can go and apply for a 1-year extension under the Planning Act. So you do have a total of 2 years just to give yourself some time to prepare for the capacity. I've also built in that council does have the opportunity to assess things on a case-by-case basis. So if there is an applicant who really does feel like they're a low capacity user, they could still come forward, and council does have the tool to be able to provide an exemption, but it would be done on a case-by-case basis. The County of Elgin has been circulated on this bylaw, and they haven't had any comments, and there are no public hearings required in order to pass this bylaw. However, a notice of passing does go in the local newspaper on the municipal website, and it's sent to commenting agencies at a courtesy. We would also send to key stakeholders that are in the development community that currently have applications that are in various stages in the Planning Act applications. And there is a 50-day appeal period to the Ontario Land Tribunal. So anybody can appeal if they feel that council has not, put in this requirement and if there was no need for it. So happy to answer any questions at the appropriate time.
Thank you for your report, Tracy, and I'll just open the floor to any questions from council. Councillor.
Through you, Mayor Hens. Thank you, Tracy, for the report, and I obviously will support the motion going forward. I would like, if you don't mind, and maybe I'm missing something here, the planning, so we're temporarily prohibiting all development, including planning applications and building permits. Is it necessary to stop the planning process with the, I guess what I'm asking is that, can we still proceed with planning applications and the process? Because there's usually quite often a lot of conditions that have to be met. And then with the awareness that we will not be issuing a building permit. So if there's a whole lengthy process in the planning, and time is a factor, is that a possibility still, or is it all in one that we need to consider as council?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to council, to the members of council. So you are correct. Certain applications do have conditions, but often the conditions have time frames. So for example, a plan of subdivision has conditions and they do expire after, I believe it is 5 years. So what you don't want an applicant to get all the way to that part and then just get stalled because they can't clear that condition. Consent applications also have concession conditions, but there are only 2 years. Some don't have conditions. So for example, zoning bylaw amendment, once it's in force and effect, it's final. So the tool in the toolbox is that it's just a line drawn in the sand where applications will no longer be provided. And then the applicant doesn't risk the chance of spending all that time and money on support studies and application fees just to find out that they just can't clear that condition.
Does that answer your question, Councillor Greg?
It does answer the question. And if that's what it is, that's what it is. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that. So.
Okay. Any further questions? And I think, Don, you have some experience in this regard as well.
In the past, we, at a former municipality, we did use the interim control bylaw for aggregate resource policies. So it does allow the municipality some time to prepare the requisite study. And once the study is completed, at that point, there would be recommendations in the study. And hopefully by that time, there's going to be some funding available for an application for upgrades to the plant and also pump station 1 and the force main. So until that time, my discussions with Dylan to this point in time, they are extremely concerned about capacity issues. And the ones that we have in the pipeline already, we will have to address those somehow. And we will be working with those applicants to see how and if we can accommodate them for capacity.
Thank you, Don. There's a look of concern in the back room and just, we will work with the applicants. Okay. And Duncan, we already started a bit of a conversation on that. So any further questions from council? Okay. Carol, please.
Moved by Pemberton, seconded by Drulard, that the Council of the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich receives the report of the planner titled Proposed Interim Control Bylaw as a Moratorium to Pause Development dated March 12, 2025 for information, and that council approve an interim control bylaw pursuant to section 38 of the Planning Act for a period of up to 1 year, temporarily prohibiting all development, including planning applications and building permits within the settlement area of Dutton in order to address municipal servicing capacity limitations in accordance with the bylaw 2025-18. All in favor? And that's carried.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Tracy. Is your work complete here this evening?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I thought I would stay to the very end to see if there was any concerns or questions with the bylaws. There's one bylaw with respect to planning services, so I thought I'd be available if you needed anything.
Okay, thank you for that, Tracy. Okay, moving on to the consent agenda. Let's do it there's 3 sections here. Under A, Elgin County Council highlights, Dutton Dunwich Economic Development Committee newsletter, AMO policy update, and Lower Thames Valley Conservation Authority, the 2025 approved budget. Anyone wish to speak to one of those items? Okay, under B, the committee reports, Dutton Dunwich Cultural Heritage Committee, Lower Thames Valley Conservation Authority Board of Directors, and the West Elgin Communities Center Board of Management. No one wishes to address any of them. And the staff reports. I'm quite sure there may be some questions on that. The Manager of Roads and Facilities monthly report. Nothing from council? The Water Operations Manager monthly report. The Wastewater Operator monthly report. No discussion on that one? Straightforward. Okay. The monthly building activity report. Fire Chief monthly report. The Drainage Superintendent monthly report. Recreation monthly activity report. The Planning monthly activity report. The Clerk's monthly activity report. And the Acting Treasurer monthly activity report. We have James before us. Now's your chance. Okay. Clerk Tara, please.
Moved by Drulard, seconded by Dreyfus, that the items on the consent agenda be approved. All in favor? And that's carried.
Thank you, Tara. And item 9 is clerk's report and the medical center patient roster. Clerk Tara, give your report, please.
So this is just a follow-up to our negotiations with the medical center. We did receive back a copy of the patient roster by postal code. So there was 4,253 patients, and we did break it down into Dutton Dunwich postal codes, Elgin County postal codes, and anything outside of Elgin County. We did find that there was 36% of those postal codes that related to Dutton Dunwich. But in order to make sure that we capture those homes that are along the borders, we did include both the West Lorne postal code and the Fingal postal code, and just kind of a margin of error for that. So that can bring us up to 40%. That's not a concrete number, but that's our best guess. So this report is just kind of recommending that next time we go into negotiations, we not go above 40% of the cost of running the medical center. Because that's the only users from Dutton Dunwich is maybe up to 40%. So we shouldn't be subsidizing them any more than that. I'm also recommending that next negotiations that we do use a third party, and that we have somebody that is familiar with the Elgin foe, just so we can come up with better numbers and more knowledge of the system. Any questions?
Thank you, Clerk Tara. Questions, comments on that report? Go ahead, Councillor Pembroke.
No, I guess what I'll say is I'm just glad to see that we received this, because I know it was something we asked for before the negotiation started, and there was a little bit of a pushback on that. So I'm glad we got it, and it's the numbers are definitely interesting. But glad we got it, so we have that information in front of us. Yeah, so I'm just happy that we've got them.
Anything further? Councillor Drulard, please.
Yeah, I just, I really appreciate the report, Tara, and I wanted to say that this is much easier to take back with the rationale that we would subsidize 40% when we have these figures. It makes sense it will make sense to everyone. Thank you.
Anything else? Okay. Clerk Tara, please.
Moved by Dreyfus, seconded by Loveland, that the Council of the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich receives the report of the clerk titled Medical Center Patient Roster dated March 12th, 2025 for information. All in favor? And that's carried.
Okay, and item 10, we have our acting treasury report, the 2025 user fee update. It was included in your package. I'll just open the floor to questions. James is here with us.
Not so much a question on this material, but just, I guess if we're amending our bylaw a little bit, we also should look at planning fees, because we have signed a new agreement with the county for planning, and I don't think we've really finalized what we're gonna raise those to.
I'm sorry, Ken, I missed your, what fees were you?
The planning fees.
Oh,
As part of that recommendation from the county, they did mention that we should raise our fees, and they had given us some recommendations. And I think there was some talk about phasing it in over a few years. So I think if we're doing a bylaw amendment to change fees, we must well include that.
Go ahead, Don.
We have a kickoff meeting with the county next week, so that was one of the topics for discussion is raising of the fees and how we would implement those.
Okay. Okay, no further questions. Clerk Tara, please.
Moved by Loveland, seconded by Pemberton, that the Council of the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich receives the report of the acting treasurer titled 2025 User Fees Update dated March 12th, 2025 for information, and that council approved the proposed additions to the municipal user fees as outlined in the report. All in favor? And that's carried.
Okay, thank you. And I'm sure this next one, James, you're not gonna get off so easy. We have the 2025 draft budget and this is first I got my hands on. I have not had time to look at this, but first thing I want to commend our committee, James and Councillor Pemberton and Councillor Goulart. I know a lot of blood, sweat and tears went into this thing. And council has not had a real opportunity to look at it. So if council wishes, we could have a special meeting just to deal with this document. Whatever your thoughts are on it, but go ahead, James, if you wish to.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. So we have, this is your first look at the 2025 budget. The committee was able to get the percentage increase to about roughly 9.5% increase from 2024. It's cutting quite a bit of stuff out, mostly reserves. There's not a lot of reserves left in this budget, unfortunately.
Do the committee members wish to? Please.
Yeah, it's, I don't know, I think we met 3 or 4 times to try and break out the numbers. And we also met with various departments to see what their needs were and to what, you know, as a committee, what we could actually work with to see how we could get the number down. As of the last meeting, we actually were at 13%. There was a few things came into play that James had to consider through the whole process, which I know as a council we couldn't live with. We were trying to get the percentage under the 10% if we possibly could. But in actual fact, I think Councillor Pemberton and myself both agree that we actually need the 13% to do or to maintain somewhat of a healthy forecast in our budget. There's some big factors that come into play in this that I think we need to be aware of as council. We have a total debt of $44,393,231. It's very high compared to our overall budget. Our debt servicing last year was $676,000. As far as we paid about $480,000 in principal and almost $200,000 in interest alone. I believe it has to be a priority of our council and future councils to somehow figure out a way that we can get this under control. As James said, we have no reserves. We've taken them out of our budget, which I'm somewhat opposed to, but our ratepayers can only bear so much, and that's the reality. And having learned today that we're in a very high percentile of tax increases or tax levy to the individual homeowners already, we're in the top, probably the top 10 out of 51 municipalities, which is not good. We don't want to be there, but that's the reality. So I really believe that and Councillor Pemberton, maybe you can add to this, that we really need to look at all options. I don't know what they are, and I'm not even going to propose anything today, but I think we need to look at all options going forward. I likened it to the fact that if you had a bailiff come in to our organization and they were to assess our fat, I guess, or our surplus, what would be the first things that they would cut? And that was my question to our committee. It was like, what do you think would be the very first things that would be chopped off the block if we owed a lot of money? And that's the situation I believe we're in. I believe we can withstand some debt, but there's a limitation to what we can do. And I do believe we've exceeded the allowable limit. I don't know what it is, but that we've exceeded the allowable limit for a municipality. So that's my, I guess my warning to us as a council, that I hope we can work diligently to look at the bigger picture and to see what we can do to get this under control. So it's a little bit depressing, I will admit. But it's a reality, and we're here to try to get it under control. So if you look at percentages wise, if you look at 676,000, well, that's a lot of points in our budget. That's a lot of points. We get that under control, we're better off already. So yeah, that's kind of where we are. If I don't know if we can do any better than the 9.5, 9 point, I believe. So
Only if we're to start cutting services, unfortunately, and that's not a road. I mean, the municipality really wants to go down. So
Councillor Pemberton, please.
Yeah, Counselor Dreyfus and I really struggled with this because, we're both of the opinion we need reserves, we want to build these reserves so that we're not dipping into our borrowing because we have to do things and we have to maintain roads and things of that nature, but it makes it very difficult to create reserves when we're paying that amount in principal and interest every year. And, we struggle to come up with a way to be responsible to our ratepayers and get that paid off and still come up with reserves. So we haven't got a better answer. We trimmed off as much as we could. The only other one thing that I think we could look at possibly with last council, we approved the grass cutting tenders and a couple other tenders. They said they did need another lawnmower, but I'd really like to take another look at that to see, can we make another year out of the one we got? Because if we've cut 40 hours of grass cutting or more out of our budget, that's a full-time person for a week to look at that. So I think we should relook at that. I don't mind another meeting or special meeting to give everybody a chance to digest this, because it's a lot to digest and it's more of an increase than we were hoping. I know we were hoping to try and get down around that 7%, but they said we were really at 13% when we cut things that we didn't really want to cut. So that's kind of where we were at that.
Did we cut any service or service levels in this budget?
no,
We did. Okay. I think council needs to take this home and digest this thing. And go ahead, Councillor Dreyfus.
Mayor, through your mayor hands, there is a couple of things that stand out. And I don't even know if we'd want to go there, but if you consider our swimming pool, 3 months use for $130,000. I'm not saying we don't do it, but I'm suggesting there's a few things we look at. Those kind of numbers, they stand out. It again adds up to another percentage point. I don't want to go there, but I think we need to have a hard look at some of this stuff. And I feel bad for the municipality and the ratepayers, but I think we're at that point, to be honest with you. We need to take a hard look at some of this stuff. And I agree with Councillor Pemberton is, we did look at the lawnmower, but we've already rejected it 2 years in a row. This might be an opportunity to build up our asset. And we did consider that in our meeting, is that how many times can you take it away and not hurt the staff that are operating the equipment? So I think those are some very fair things that we need to consider through this process. So
The numbers for those things are in here, like the swimming pool. Okay, and now we're talking service cuts. That's a hard pill to swallow. But I agree, we got to look at it anyway. So where does council wish to leave this? Take this home and digest it? write down your thoughts, and if so desired, we can call a special meeting and just deal with this, if that's council's will. Or if you think we can handle it in the next council meeting in 2 weeks, because it should be a shorter agenda. But we'll wait for feedback from council to staff on how you want to handle this thing. You're okay with that? Any further comments? Don, you have any thoughts on dealing with that one? I don't blame you. Okay. Tara, please. Sir,
No, sorry.
pardon?
No.
No? There's no, just accepting it? Okay. Okay, let's go on to item 11. The CAO's report and Dutton Pumping Station 1 upgrades, change in scope. Sure, you wish to speak to that, Don?
So I know at a previous council meeting, Dylan Consulting presented their report on the sanitary system flows and capacity. The report is part of the ongoing work carried out by Dylan on the collection system, pump station 1, and the wastewater treatment plant. So in response to the delegation, Dylan has prepared the change in scope of work that would see Dylan complete a review of the wastewater plant capacity and optimization study. The scope of work would be about $40,000, and that is included in this year's budget. In order for anything to happen at that plant, this is an absolute necessity. In my discussions with Dylan, one of the outcomes could be is that we may be able to find some 4, 5, 7% capacity increases by bringing the lagoons back online. That's just something they've talked about internally with their group. Not saying it can happen, but that's one of the things that they think is a potential outcome of the optimization study. So the work that would be carried out would be, they've estimated between $3 and $5 million. There is another federal fund that is available. It's only 50% dollars. So if there was some minor works for that amount of money, it would make sense to apply for that type of money, and then our borrow would not be as much as it would be for, a full plant upgrade. It would be a very good interim step, but we won't know that until they complete the scope of work. The estimated time frame is about 3 months to carry the work out. So if there are any grant opportunities that do come up, we would be in a position to apply for those in a short amount of time.
And Marilyn.
Thanks, Don. You answered my one question about how long it was going to take, and I hope they do look at some of the other alternatives. I guess the one, in reading all that report, the one thing that I think they should also take a look at, and it was a recommendation back in 2010, Dylan's at the time made three different recommendations we could look at to improve our system, and at the time the council of the day picked number 1, but number 3 was an interesting proposal. Now maybe makes a bit more sense, and what it was to put a new force main from pumping station number 2 right behind the office here and take it right to the plant. That kind of zones our 2 systems, so it would prevent you from repumping it. It would also zone the system, and so you take some of the capacity away from the lines downtown where they addressed are an issue. And again, it's not that difficult to do. I don't think we own most of the land that it would go down. So I just want to take another look at that option. It wasn't in their report, and it was back a few years ago. I don't know if there'd be more money for that or not, Don, but that's.
Yeah, at this point, I think they're more looking at just the plant itself and to see if we could bring the lagoons back online, anything just there, without going back to looking at the collection system. But we could certainly keep that in mind for the next stage of work that needs to be carried out. Because I don't think that was included in EA. I think the only second force main was coming from the north, from what I recollect.
One of the things in my hope was what they're proposing to do now. That may give us enough to allow the permits that we have outstanding right now. Somehow we got to make them work. We have to find a way that certainly the Lions come a year from now, we need to find a way to hook them up. And this work may accomplish that for us. That's our hope. Yeah. Any further discussion on that? Okay. Is there a resolution for that one?
Moved by Pemberton, seconded by Drulard, that the council of the municipality of Dutton Dunwich receives the report of the interim chief administrative officer titled Pumping Station 1 Upgrades Change in Scope dated March 12th, 2025 for information, and that council approve the change in scope whereby Dillon Consulting will complete a full wastewater plant capacity and optimization study. All in favor? And that's carried.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody need a break or will soldier on? Keep going. Other staff reports. A request to remove property from Municipal Heritage Register 12953 Iona Road. Councillor Dryfoot, do you wish to address that?
Yes, 12953 Iona Road was on the Heritage Registry. It was a request of the owner to, in applying for a demolition permit, our CBO recognized that it was on our Heritage Registry, so we're requesting that it be removed after discussions with the owner. I will say, as a result of this process, the committee is looking at the registry at large. We have about 80 homes on that registry. And after consulting with the committee, we're kind of wondering why there is so many homes on the registry itself, and we're also considering as to the historical nature of each of the homes that are on there. So we propose in our own committee that you'll be seeing a lot more homes come to council to have them removed from the registry because we don't feel there's a purpose for it. So I think we're going to pare it down and get it to a very manageable point on behalf of, or for the sake of the Heritage Committee itself and for the municipality, because we don't need to have this happen all the time. So you can expect that. So that this house is a result of that, and I think you'll see that move forward going in the future. So.
Okay, thank you. And I have a question if Planner Tracy's still on board. Do removing these listings from the registry, do they have to come to council or can the committee just do this work?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, this has to go to council. Council is the approval authority for the Heritage Committee. The committee only makes recommendations to you as an ad hoc committee. So everything does have to come to you. The next step would be notice will go into the newspaper, on the website, and to the owner and the Ontario Heritage Registry group. And there is an appeal opportunity as well. So the removal does have a few legislative steps, so that it is something that always has to come to council.
Okay, thank you for that. Any further questions on that one? Clerk Tara, please.
Moved by Drulard, seconded by Dryfout, that the council of the municipality of Dutton Dunwich receives the report of the archival records and clerk's assistant titled Request to Remove Property from the Municipal Heritage Register 12953 Iona Road dated March 12th, 2025 for information, and that council of the municipality of Dutton Dunwich removes 12953 Iona Road as a property on the municipal register of heritage properties for the purpose of demolition. All in favor? And that's carried.
Okay, and we have another request to remove from 269 Shackleton Street, and we've all heard that street address before. Anyone wish to speak to that? Counselor Dreyfus.
The only reason for this removal from the registry is it's a condition of severance, and the committee supported the condition of severance, so.
Okay, any further questions? Clerk Tara, please.
Moved by Dreyfus, seconded by Loveland, that the council of the municipality of Dutton Dunwich receives the report of the archival records and clerk's assistant titled Request to Remove Property from Municipal Heritage Register 269 Shackleton Street, dated March 12th, 2025 for information, and that council of the municipality of Dutton Dunwich removes 269 Shackleton Street as a property on the municipal register of heritage properties for the purpose of demolition. All in favor? And that's carried.
Thank you. And we have item C, the 2025 dust suppressant tender results. That report is in front of council. Counselor Dreyfus, you had some information from Chatham Kent on this very issue. I would like you to share that with us.
Well, it was discussed in our committee meeting, finance committee meeting, that Chatham Kent is no longer going to brine their roads. So as a cost saving measure, just passing that on. So I don't know if we want to go down that road, but literally.
Counselor Drewlard, you live on a dirt road.
I live on a gravel road. It wouldn't bother me one bit.
Really?
Nope, not a bit. That's what I expect living in the country.
Okay, any other comments on that one? Deputy Mayor Loveland.
I just make the comment from my history, we get more complaints about dust than probably anything else. So it would be an unpopular decision, I think.
And I think we're into a health situation here as well. It's that bad at places. And I certainly hear about it if a road gets delayed and. So anyway, that's a consideration for the budget. Any other questions on this? It's pretty straightforward. It is a fair chunk of change, though. It's low bid was $262,500. What's that, 5 points on a budget? 4, yeah.
What's Chris's like I've gone down the road to his desk, you can see it.
I know, it's a health and safety. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, Clerk Tara, please.
Moved by Loveland, seconded by Pemberton, that the council of the municipality of Dutton Dunwich receives the report of the manager of roads and facilities titled 2025 dust suppressant tender results, dated March 12th, 2025 for information, and that council award the 2025 dust suppressant tender to Eastern Oilfield Services Limited at the rate of 0.105 cents per liter plus HST. All in favor? And that's carried. Moved by Pemberton, seconded by Drewlard, that the council of the municipality of Dutton Dunwich receives the report of the manager of roads and facilities titled 2025 gravel tender results, dated March 12th, 2025 for information, and that council award the 2025 gravel tender to Johnson Bros Limited at a rate of $21.97 to $22.87 per ton. All in favor? And that's carried.
Sorry, any announcements? I have one, and I just want to give a shout out to Charlotte, Dan, and Gerald for a well-attended, very successful, they called it their Kindness Day in the community center on Saturday. I did go. I got a hot dog and a hot chocolate. And there were a lot of kids there and everybody having a good time. And also I should recognize our fire department. They're on their own time. They had our new truck out there and another one. They were doing the barbecuing. And it appears to me they enjoy that type of community outreach. So I just want it noted that a big thank you to all of those involved in putting that together. Any other announcements? Nope. Okay, Clerk Tara, we've got a whole list here of proposed bylaws, and I'm gonna start with the planning agreement. And I'm gonna give everybody an opportunity, because we've kicked this thing around for some time. Is there any discussion at this point in time on that one? Everybody's okay? Clerk Tara, please.
Moved by Drulard, seconded by Dreyfus, that bylaw 2025-15, being a bylaw to authorize the corporation of the municipality of Dutton Dunwich to enter into an agreement with the corporation of the county of Elgin for planning services, be read a first, second, and third time and passed. All in favor? And that's carried.
And further to that, in speaking with Matt Vaughn, the Director of Planning, he will be spending some time in the Dutton office. And you'll see him fairly soon. Okay, we're going to get off to a good start here, and the service is going to be terrific. And if Tracy is still with us, you can retire now.
Yay! Thank you very much.
Are you going to stay in Mexico or are you coming home?
I might not have to come home now. I'll just stay.
Well, you got to drop in and say goodbye anyway.
Yes, I will be in the office on Wednesday, and I'll be part of that kickoff meeting with the county and the CAO.
Okay, thank you, Tracy, and thank you for all you've done for Dutton Dunwich.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Next bylaw is to appoint an interim CAO. Don McLeod. Any questions or concerns? Resolution, please, Tara.
Moved by Dreyfus, seconded by Loveland, that bylaw 2025-16, being a bylaw to appoint a chief administrative officer for the municipality of Dutton Dunwich, be read a first, second, and third time and passed. All in favor? And that's carried.
And we have an agreement for IT services, and it's Zuling Technologies, and I did not know who Zuling was, but it's Dan Balint, the same guy we've always had. Resolution, please, Tara.
Moved by Loveland, seconded by Pemberton, that bylaw 2025-17, being a bylaw to authorize the corporation of the municipality of Dutton Dunwich to enter into an agreement with Zuling Technologies Incorporated for technology maintenance and support services, be read a first, second, and third time and passed. All in favor? And that's carried.
Okay, and the one we just discussed, the interim control bylaw, wastewater capacity. Resolution, please.
Moved by Pemberton, seconded by Drulard, that bylaw 2025-18, being a bylaw passed pursuant to the provisions of section 38 of the Planning Act, RSO 1990, chapter P13, as amended to establish interim control provisions for the Dutton settlement, are in the corporation of the municipality of Dutton Dunwich as a moratorium to pause development for a period of 12 months in order to allow the appropriate completion of further study, be read a first, second, and third time and passed. All in favor? And that's carried.
Thank you. The Leach McCann Drain final assessment. And James, you're well aware of the figures involved with all these. Resolution, please.
Moved by Drulard, seconded by Dreyfus, that bylaw 2025-19, being a bylaw to amend the assessment schedule for actual costs incurred for the improvement of the Leach McCann drain, be read a first, second, and third time and passed. All in favor? And that's carried.
And we have the Lucas Drain final assessment. Clerk Tara, please.
Moved by Dreyfus, seconded by Loveland, that bylaw 2025-20 being a bylaw to amend the assessment schedule for the actual costs incurred for the improvement of the Lucas Drain be read a first, second, and third time and passed. All in favor? And that's carried.
Thank you. And we have the Allen McCollum Drain and the Gordon Little Drain final assessment.
Moved by Loveland, seconded by Pemberton, that bylaw 2025-21 being a bylaw to amend the assessment schedule for the actual costs incurred for the construction of the Allen McCollum and Gordon Little drains be read a first, second, and third time and passed. All in favor? And that's carried.
And 2025-22, my Uncle Donald Lumley Drain final assessment. Tara, please.
Moved by Pemberton, seconded by Drulard, that bylaw 2025-22 being a bylaw to amend the assessment schedule for the actual costs incurred for the improvement of the Donald Lumley Drain be read a first, second, and third time and passed. All in favor? And that's carried.
And one more, the Gilroy Drain final assessment. Clerk Tara, please.
Moved by Drulard, seconded by Dreyfus, that bylaw 2025-23 being a bylaw to amend the assessment schedule for the actual costs incurred for the improvement of the Gilroy Drain be read a first, second, and third time and passed. All in favor? And that's carried.
Thank you. And might as well finish up, Tara.
Moved by Dreyfus, seconded by Loveland, that bylaw 2025-24 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the municipal council of the municipality of Dutton Dunwich be read a first, second, and third time and passed. All in favor? And that's carried.
Thank you. And the future meetings, and please provide feedback to staff. If we have a small agenda at our regular meeting, I think we could handle the budget. So we don't have to call a special meeting, but provide your feedback to staff on that one. Okay, thank you. So we have March 26th and April 9th are the next meetings. Anything further?
I was just gonna say, if we provide feedback, but maybe staff will have a better handle on whether we needed a special meeting or not. Once they start looking at what we've got on the agenda, just a suggestion, or.
I guess you're right, Councilor Drill, if we have a 3-hour meeting ahead of us, I don't foresee that. That would be too much. So the agendas comes out the Thursday, or you'd like to see it the Thursday before the next meeting. So we could make that decision at that time, Councilor Dreyfus.
Is it possible that council present any feedback back to James based on the budget so that we're that maybe if we need to go to committee, we could do that ahead of time. But at least maybe we have some feedback ahead of time rather than leave it for that meeting. At least we have an opportunity to review that and think about it ourselves prior to the meeting. So.
Okay, you could direct any questions you have, direct to James, send him an email, you want clarification, or give him a call. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Clerk Tara.
Moved by Loveland, seconded by Pemberton, that the meeting of the council of the municipality of Dutton Dunwich closes at 6:03 PM. All in favor? And that's carried.
Thank you all. Right. They're not all this short, Don, I want to warn you.
That's just nice. It's a big agenda too.
Yeah. A lot of it's been before us so many times that